Yes, ma'am. And I'm bored.
Honourable members, the Honourable Michelle Gordon AC, Justice of the High Court of Australia.
Authority to administer the oath or affirmation of allegiance to members of the House of Representatives. I, the Honourable Ms Sam Mostyn AC, Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia, acting under Section 44 of the Constitution, authorise the Honourable Michelle Gordon AC, a Justice of the High Court of Australia, to administer the oath or affirmation of allegiance to members of the House of Representatives, dated 22 May 2025, signed Sam Mostyn, Governor-General, and countersigned by Her Excellency's Command, Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister. I lay on the table duly endorsed writs for the election of members of the House of Representatives for all states and for the Australian Capital Territory and the Northern Territory. Will honourable members please come to the table in the order in which their names are read so that they may make an oath or affirmation. Graindler, Anthony Norman Albanese. Corayo, Richard Donald Miles. Rankin, James Edward Chalmers. Watson, Anthony Stephen Burke. Hindmarsh, Mark Christopher Butler. McMahon, Christopher Isles Guy Bowen. Ballarat, Catherine Fiona King. Kingston, Amanda Louise Rishworth. Blaxland, Jason Dean Clare. Greenway, Michelle Ann Rowland. Sydney, Tanya Joan Plibersek. Franklin, Julie Marie Collins. Honourable members making an oath, please take the religious text in your right hand. Do each of you swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, so help you God? Honourable members making an affirmation, do each of you solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law? I do. Shortland, Patrick Martin Conroy. Brand, Madeline Mary Harvey King. Cowan, Anne Azza Ali. Hotham, Claire Ellen O'Neill. Burt, Matthew James Keogh. Fraser, Daniel Molino. Eden Monero, Christy Louise McBain. Hawke, Samuel Thomas Ray. Lilly, Annika Shea Wells. Scullen, Andrew James Giles. Honourable members making an oath, please take the religious text in your right hand. Do each of you swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, so help you God? I do, so help me God. Honourable members making an affirmation, do each of you solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law?
I do.
Please sign. Farah Susan Lee. Lindsay Melissa Iris McIntosh. Fairfax Edward Lynham O'Brien. Goldstein Timothy Robert Wilson. Maranoa David Kelly Littleproud. Moncrieff Angie Marion Bell. Hume Angus James Taylor. Gippsland Darren Jeffrey Chester. Wannon Daniel Thomas Tehan. Mitchell Alexander George Hawke. Canning Andrew William Hasty. Barowra Julian Martin Lisa. Honourable members, please take the religious text in your right hand. Do each of you swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, so help you God? Please sign. I'm not getting any times on these, but that's okay. You guys will. Fisher Andrew Bruce Wallace. Cowper Patrick John Conahan. Parkes Jamie Leslie Chaffey. Page Kevin John Hogan. Latrobe Jason Peter Wood. Herbert Philip Thompson. Flinders Zoe Ann Mackenzie. Nichols Samuel James Birrell. Durack Melissa Lee Price. Wright Scott Andrew Buchholz. Malley Anne Elizabeth Webster. Dawson Andrew John Wilcox. Honourable members making an oath, please take the religious text in your right hand. Do each of you swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, so help you God?
I do, so help me God.
Honourable members making an affirmation, do each of you solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law?
I do.
Please sign the forms. Perth, Patrick Possum Gorman. Lyons, Rebecca White. Parramatta, Andrew Charlton. Wills, Peter Halil. Kingsford Smith, Matthew James Thistlethwaite. Fenner, Andrew Keith Lee. Fremantle, Joshua Hamilton Wilson. Bruce, Julian Christopher Hill, Dobell, Emma Margaret McBride, Cooper, Geraldine Mary Carney. Honourable members making an oath, please take the religious text in your right hand. Do each of you swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law, so help you God? Honourable members making an affirmation, do each of you solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law?
I do.
Please sign. Dixon, Alison Ann France. Bass, Jessica Ann Teasdale. Banks, Jean G. Soon. Menzies, Gabrielle James Ng. Deacon, Matthew John Gregg. Bonner, Cara May George Cook. Barton, Ashvini Ambi Hypaha. Moore, Thomas Allen French. Bendigo, Lisa Marie Chesters. Hunter, Daniel Peter Repicoli. Hughes, Sydney David Moncrief. Tangney, Sam Bon Cheng Lim. Honourable members making an oath, please take the religious text in your right hand. Do each of you swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, so help you God? I do. Honourable members making an affirmation, do each of you solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law?
I do.
Monash, Mary Rose Aldred. Lyne, Alison Louise Penfold. McPherson, Leon Stephen Rabello. Cook, Simon Peter Kennedy. Longman Terry James Young. Fadden Cameron Mackenzie Caldwell. Gray Thomas Howard Veening. Barker Anthony Passon. Groom Garth Russell Hamilton. Bowman Henry John Pike. Honourable members, please take the religious text in your right hand. Do each of you swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law, so help you God?
I do, so help me God.
Please sign. Bullwinkle Patricia Ann Cook, Melbourne. Sarah Jane Whitty. Petrie Emma Louise Comer. Lingiari Marion Scrimger. Griffith Renee K. Coffey. Sturt Claire Louise Clutterham. Maribyrnong Joanna Lee Brisky. Aston Mary Judith Jacinta Doyle. Gorton Marion Alice Marguerite Jordan Baird. Braddon Anne Elizabeth Urquhart. Pearce Tracy Gardner Roberts. Leichhardt Matthew John Howe Smith. Honourable members making an oath, please take the religious text in your right hand. Do each of you swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, so help you God? Honourable members making an affirmation. Do each of you solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law? I do. Please sign. O'Connor Richard James Wilson. Forrest Benjamin John Small. New England Barnaby Thomas Joyce. Flynn Colin Ina Boyce. Wide Bay Llewellyn Stephen O'Brien. Riverina Michael Francis McCormick. Casey Aaron Anthony Violi. Capricornia, Michelle Leanne Landry. Hinkler, David John Batt. Honourable members making an oath, please take the religious text in your right hand. Do each of you swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, so help you God?
I do, so help me God.
Honourable members making an affirmation, do each of you solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law? Please sign. Swan, Zanetta Felice Antoinetta Mascarenhas. Ford, Rowan Aubrey Victor Holzberger. Gilmore, Fiona Yvonne Phillips. Solomon, Luke John Gosling. Macquarie, Susan Ray Templeman. Caldwell, Bassem Jamal Abdo. Chisholm, Karina Mary Lindsay Garland. Isaacs, Mark Alfred Dreyfus. Boothby, Louise Jane Miller-Frost. Lawler, Joanne Ryan. Newcastle, Sharon Catherine Clayton. Patterson, Meryl Jane Swanson. Honourable members making an oath, please take the religious text in your right hand. Do each of you swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, so help you God?
I do, so help me God.
Honourable members making an affirmation, do each of you solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law? I do. Please sign. McKellar, Sophie Anna Scomps. Kooyong, Monique Marie Ryan. Wentworth, Allegra May Spender. Curtin, Catherine Ella Cheney. Bradfield, Nicolette Buller. Fowler, Dai Trang Lee. Calais, Andrew Robert G.
after all this.
Honourable members making an oath, please take the religious text in your right hand. Do each of you swear that you'll be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, so help you God. Honourable members making an affirmation, do each of you solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law?
I do.
Please sign. Morton, Julie Ann Patricia Campbell. Chifley, Edham Nuruddin Husi. Whitlam, Carol Gay Berry. Bennelong, Jerome Alexander Alan Luxell. Brisbane, Madonna Louise Jarrett. McNamara, Joshua Solomon Burns. Spence, Matthew Paul Burnell. Werriwa, Anne Marie Stanley. Bean, David Philip Benedict Smith. Honourable members making an oath, please take the religious text in your right hand. Do each of you swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, so help you God? Honourable members making an affirmation, do each of you solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law? Clark, Andrew Damien Wilkie. Mayo, Rebecca Karina Shea Sharkey. Kennedy, Robert Carl B. Catter. Indi, Helen Mary Hames. Warringah, Sali Stegel. Ryan, Elizabeth Watson-Brown. Honourable members making an oath, please take the religious text in your right hand. Do each of you swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law, so help you God? Honourable members making an affirmation, do each of you solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law?
I do.
Robertson, Gordon James Reid. McEwen, Robert George Mitchell. Gellibrand, Timothy Graham Watts. Reid, Sally Situ. Richmond, Maria Justine Elliott. Macon, Antonio Zappia. Blair, Shane Kenneth Newman. Holt, Cassandra Juanita Fernando. Dunkley, Jodie Ann Bellier. Honourable members making an oath, please take the religious text in your right hand. Do each of you swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law, so help you God?
I do, so help me God.
Honourable members making an affirmation, do each of you solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law?
I do.
Jagajaga, Kate Lynn Thwaites. Oxley, Dugald Milton Dick. Hasluck, Tanya Natalie Lawrence. Cunningham, Alison Joy Burns. Canberra, Alicia Emma Payne. Corangamite, Elizabeth Ann Coker. Macarthur, Michael Randolph Freelander. Adelaide, Stephen Georgianis. Honourable members making an oath, please take the religious text in your right hand. Do each of you swear that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law, so help you God? Honourable members making an affirmation, do each of you solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law?
I do.
So that's it. How's that now? next business of the House is the election of a Speaker. Is there a nomination?
I move that the honourable member for Oxley do take the chair of this House as Speaker. Yeah. Clerk, there is no better member of this House to take the chair of Speaker than the member for Oxley. Yeah. While there are many stories I could share, and some I dare say I should not, nothing demonstrates why the member for Oxley should be the Speaker of this House in the 48th Parliament more than his outstanding record in the 47th. Yeah. The member for Oxley was a Speaker for all members of the House of Representatives, extending the same opportunities, fairness and, yes, even leniency to every member, regardless of political affiliation or position. Although I suspect the former member for Moreton may have a word or two to say about the leniency part. As members would be aware, the Whip's office is located just outside the member's entrance to the Speaker's office, and nothing illustrates the member for Oxley's approach to the speakership more clearly than the daily sight of MPs from the Coalition, the Greens, the Crossbench, freely wandering into the Speaker's office. They do so with some comfort and welcome that would be extended to the lifelong friends of the member for Oxley that is made throughout his journey in the Labor Party. In my time as a member of this House, I can say with confidence that this was a unique aspect of the speakership. I can also attest to the member for Oxley's experience when we served together on the Procedures Committee. This is evident not only in his deep understanding of the standing orders and House of Representatives practice, or in the way he clearly and respectfully explains matters of procedure to members, but also in how he has drawn on his time on that committee, particularly during our inquiry into question time, to inform his conduct in the chair. The member for Oxley has taken the feedback we received from the public about how Parliament's Hollywood hour should function. His approach to question time reflects a genuine effort to ensure it better serves the public interest. As Speaker in the 47th Parliament, the member for Oxley also worked to open up the Parliament to the public through improved education programs, the welcoming of charities and organisations in the building to showcase their work, and, yes, through his high-quality Instagram reels. The member for Oxley has been committed to giving the Australian people greater insight into the life and work of their Parliament and the People's House, and the behind-the-scene workers who the member for Oxley calls the beating heart of Australia's most visited building. He has shared it all. Above all else, the Parliament in Schools program stands out as one of his most significant contributions. As a former educator and now a parliamentarian, I understand deeply the importance of civics education. The member for Oxley's tireless efforts in this area have strengthened the health of our democracy at a time when democratic institutions are being tested around the world. During the 47th Parliament, the Speaker visited more than 160 schools across more than 70 electorates, including the amazing Iramu Primary School in Wyndham Vale in my own community. With a replica mace in hand, or perhaps carrying one of the flags that flies above this building, the member for Oxley brings the values of our democracy into local classrooms. And for 70-plus MPs, they now know that in at least one class, in one school in their electorate, there is a settled opinion from young locals on whether pineapple belongs on pizza. Under the member for Oxley's speakership, I'm pleased to say that this commitment to civics education will now be extended even further through the creation of a National Youth Parliament, the first of its kind at a federal level. That he is also the brother of a public school teacher is a welcome and fitting bonus. Members, while it is with some hesitation that I'll no longer have a Milton to sit beside in the Labor caucus meetings, I wholeheartedly commend the member for Oxley to the chair of this House. Yeah.
Member for Kennedy, we need to conclude the election of Speaker before you have a chance to speak. Is the motion seconded?
Clerk, it is my honour, and a rare one at that, to second the nomination for the honourable member for Oxley to be Speaker of the House of Representatives for the 48th Parliament of the Commonwealth of Australia. The fact the nominations have been moved from either side of the floor says a great deal about the person the member for Lalor and I seek to continue as the 32nd Speaker in this chamber, the People's House. The member for Oxley upheld the finest Westminster traditions in the previous parliament, and I have every confidence he will do the same in this term. He is well versed in the practice and is a scholar of the precedents of past speakers, which can often determine a ruling on a particular point of order or a course of action to be taken. Impartiality has been a feature and the hallmark of his speakership. I have served under 7 speakers, and each has brought their own level of panache and style to the position. The member for Oxley is no different in this regard. I rate him highly, and I'm not alone. He has earned the respect of all who have previously sat on these benches and deserves another term in this highest of office. A good Speaker is one who has a presence in the chair, who lets the debate flow without ever losing control, and who allows the robustness of question time whilst keeping the tenor and tone at an acceptable level for politicians and the public alike. That is this Speaker, who fulfils his obligations also with humour, with pleasantry and sometimes even a degree of clever wit. A great Speaker is one who uses his position to do good beyond the realms of this place. That too is this Speaker. Let me elaborate. Many a sitting night last term I had the privilege of attending a function in the Speaker's chamber where he happily hosted everyone from international diplomats to captains of industry to ordinary, everyday Australians for whom such an invitation was so very much appreciated. One such industry person was Stephen Ferguson, a close friend of both the Speaker and I, who represents so many hotels which employ thousands of people. Pubs are a quintessential part of the Australian way of life, especially in regional areas, and for the Speaker to acknowledge this in an era of wowsers, when such people and sectors are sometimes pooh-poohed, I believe showed courage and determination. Bravo, Mr Speaker. I also particularly like what the Speaker is doing to improve the education of young people in civics and democracy. The informal vote at the 3 May federal election was way too high, disturbingly so. The member for Oxley took it upon himself when he first landed this job in July 2022 to do what he could to take the parliament to the classrooms, especially in remote parts of our nation. This has been done before, obviously, but the Speaker has taken it to a new level. He has been to Bullera, Charters Towers, Cropper Creek, Gravesend, Kangaroo and King Islands, Longreach, Muttaburra, Albust, Pallamalawa, Port Hedland, Rowena and many, many others. He's been everywhere, man. And he's coming to a postcode near you. The Speaker wants Australian schoolchildren to know the difference between local, state and federal governments. He seeks to ensure people in the future make their ballot count through understanding how critical their vote is, what sacrifices have been made to have a fair and free democracy, and the different systems in place in various legislatures across the country. This is vital work and has been admirably promoted by this Speaker, and I commend him for this. As well, he is a fearless advocate for Australia's national flag. He has taken our famous red, white and blue ensign to electorates far and wide and will again embark on this popular program in this parliament. This is well received wherever and whenever it is held, as you would expect by those who love our national flag, as we all should. There are those who would wish norms to be changed, traditions to go by the wayside. Not this Speaker. Whilst he is progressive in some ways, he is very much conservative in other approaches. I think he strikes a good balance, the right balance. The promotion of our democratic system and our flag are important to the nation. The Speaker recognises this and is using his office and his position for education and enhancement of these 2 cornerstones of our country. Additionally, what he has done to foster diplomatic ties and advance and strengthen collective interests with our Blue Pacific friends is encouraging and outstanding. As chair of the Interparliamentary Union's Asia-Pacific Group, he oversaw a webinar series on women's leadership and youth engagement in the Pacific. This is making vital inroads into a region which is a really contested space at the moment. Thank you, Mr Speaker, for what you have achieved and pursued in the past. I can think of no better person in this parliament to occupy the presiding chair and to continue your significant work in this place and beyond. I wish you every success, I truly do. Good humour and limited need to use 94A, except for maybe some of those around me. I'll let you know when I feel they should go.
Does Does the member accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination.
Is there any further proposal? There'll be a time in a few minutes, Member for Kennedy. Just need to conclude the election first. The time for proposals has expired. I declare that the honourable member proposed has been elected as Speaker.
I wish to express my grateful thanks for the high honour of the House has placed upon me. The call to the Honourable the Prime Minister.
Well, thanks very much, Mr Speaker. Can I begin by congratulating you on your re-election and thank and acknowledge the fact that it is a unanimous position of this House, moved and seconded by the members for Lalor and the member for Riverina. That says something about the way in which you're held in this House. Last term, you assumed the Speaker's chair for the first time, and you had already earned the respect of the Labor caucus that I am proud to lead. We knew full well that you would do the job with fairness, with humour and with intellect, and indeed you did so. This term, you've been rightly re-elected to that chair, and we follow tradition in this place, including you reluctantly coming from the back there to assume the chair. I must say, Mr Speaker, that I've never seen you run so fast as you did towards that high office that you have quite rightly assumed. During the last term, you showed a commitment to integrity, you showed a commitment to fairness and an understanding that this institution is something that we who've just been sworn to office should cherish and should really value. I am, as you know, Mr Speaker, a proud student of the Parliament, and around the world we should acknowledge the strength of our democracy. I really think that we have the best system in terms of compulsory voting, the number of people who vote in elections, notwithstanding the issue of informals that's been raised quite rightly that we want to see come down. We have either peaceful transitions of power or resumptions of power in the case of the 48th Parliament in a way that respects outcomes, and we see that. We saw that from the former member for Dixon, who gave, I think, an outstanding speech on the evening of the 3rd of May. That's something that we should all be proud of as a country. Now, this is a place of fierce debate. It's said that democratic politics is war by other means, and there is the part of the tradition of you being being forced into the chair, of course, is that speakers in other places that did not end well if there was disagreement. And of course here the mace is symbolic. Of course the distance across this is the distance of a sword length as well. But we are able to debate our views, that people overwhelmingly come to this House from their different perspective, but with a common interest in the national interest. And I truly believe that that's the case. You are a steady hand, Mr. Speaker, and in your re-election, this House has shown its gratitude for the work that you have done in your first term as Speaker, and may there be many more terms to come, Mr. Speaker. You have engaged across electorate, something that Mr. Smith up there certainly did in my electorate, and I know that it is appreciated. The fact that you're getting out there and promoting our democracy is one of the things that you don't have to do. It's something that you want to do, and something that you do with passion and with eloquence as well. So I'm pleased that you are our custodian in this 48th Parliament. I look forward to your guidance, your counsel and your mostly infallible and gracious rulings, Mr. Speaker. It's never too early to put in a good word there, and I congratulate you on your election. I look forward to working with you and seeing your work with all of the Parliament over the next 3 years.
The call to the Honourable the Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Opposition, I offer you my warmest congratulations on your re-election as the Speaker of the House of Representatives in this, the 48th Parliament. This chamber has a long tradition of strong, fair speakers, those who have carried out this role with dignity, impartiality and a deep respect for the Parliament. You continue in that tradition. You have already shown through your time in the chair a calm and considered approach to the business of this House, and you've brought good humour and common sense to what can at times be a very lively and unpredictable place. Beyond this chamber, as has been noted, you've also worked to open up the Parliament, to make it more accessible and understandable to Australians, especially young Australians. Your efforts through programs like Parliament in Schools have helped bring civics to life, including for students in regional and remote communities. I was pleased to host you in the Farrer electorate during the last term of Parliament, where we visited rural and remote schools across the region, including the very small school of Pooncarie on the Darling River, with 2 students there on that day. You noted it was the smallest school you'd ever visited. But the role there was to help demystify politics and engage the next generation of Australians about how our democracy works. And that work doesn't always make headlines, but it makes a real and lasting difference. It is particularly important with a Lowy Institute survey showing that 36% of our young people aged 18 to 29 do not believe democracy is the best form of government or are indifferent to it. At a time when, the world over, people are looking towards that shining beacon that is the democratic system of government, your work in engendering an understanding and appreciation for our system of government is critical. Mr. Speaker, this new Parliament begins after an election where, to be frank, the Coalition would have preferred a different result. That is the nature of democracy. We respect the outcome and we are resolved to do the job the Australian people have entrusted us with, to be a strong, principled and effective opposition. As an opposition, we will be constructive where we can and critical where we must. The composition of this House has changed, as it does in every election. Friends and colleagues on all sides of the chamber have moved on. I thank them sincerely for their service to the Australian people and to this institution. I also warmly welcome new members of the House. This is a great honour and an immense responsibility. Whether you've arrived on these green benches for the first time or are returning to this place once again, Your voice matters, and your contribution will help shape the future of our country. As this new parliament begins, it's also fitting to thank all those who make this place work, from the attendants and clerks to security, cleaners and support staff across every wing of the building. We acknowledge their tireless work and commitment to public service. While we are the ones who speak and debate in this chamber, they are the ones who help ensure that we can do so. Mr Speaker, the opposition recognises the importance of your role in ensuring this parliament functions well, so that robust debate can take place and the voices of Australians from every corner of this country can be heard. We wish you well and look forward to working constructively under your stewardship in this new parliament. Congratulations.
Call to the Leader of the Nationals.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker, on behalf of the National Party and myself personally as a friend. Congratulations, mate. As someone that started with you in 2016 and spent many plane rides with you down from Brisbane to Canberra and back, we became good mates, and can I say, very proud of your ascension to this role, and that also our friendship and respect for your professionalism, even on international delegations to India, the first one we ever did. In fact, the Prime Minister and Senator Hanson and the former member for Moore, an eclectic bunch in India for 10 days. We were able to get to know one another and understand one another better. And what you have done as the former Speaker in not forgetting any part of this country, in taking this parliament to them, their house, to the most remote parts, coming to my electorate of Longreach and sitting with the School of Distance Education in Longreach, talking to kids on remote stations that would only ever dream of coming to Canberra, but having the Speaker of the House and doing it such a dignified way, in a way that embraced them in understanding the important role that you play, but we play, and going to the small school of Muttaburra and then obviously on to a local establishment where you probably got an education of the local gossip, more than what we wanted. But that is what it is to take this great parliament to our great nation, all parts of it. You served this role with such dignity in the last parliament, and we are proud to have supported you in the fact that there has been bipartisan support on both sides, and in nominating you is a reflection on you. One that we are proud of, your family should be proud of, and this nation should be proud of. Congratulations.
I give the call to the honourable member for Indi.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise to congratulate you as Speaker of the House of Representatives, and it's an honour to do so on behalf of the crossbench. It is the highest office in this chamber and one that you have shown yourself to be truly worthy of. When you were first elected to be the Speaker, you said your door would always be open, and I want to place on record that that has absolutely been the case. Speaker, you have been available to members across the chamber, as we've heard from the member for Layla and the member for Riverina. You've been available for advice, for guidance, for counsel, and at times you have had the humility to ask for counsel yourself. Just as importantly, you've opened the door to the Australian public. During your term as Speaker, you've hosted frequent events in the Speaker's office. As we've heard, you've invited volunteers and school groups in, and you've taken the time to explain the role of Speaker with warmth and with clarity. And I've seen that personally. You've welcomed many volunteers from my office into your office. You've shared your time generously and given them a rare and exciting glimpse into this part of the building that so few Australians ever see. Members, this Speaker brings something else to the role in the fine tradition of the greatest speakers in the Westminster system, and that is a sense of wonderful humour. It is the hallmark of a truly great Speaker. When things get heated in here, as they often do, this Speaker can cut through with a smile, with a wry look, and with an excellent raise of the eyebrow. This Speaker reminds us all that leadership doesn't have to be loud to be effective. In fact, of effectiveness, I might say that this Speaker could well add something very special to the Treasurer's forthcoming productivity roundtable. Unrecorded in Hansard in the last Parliament, but audible to those who listen carefully, this Speaker was heard to remark one day in a particularly noisy question time that he could effect a swifter use of Standing Order 94A if the Speaker's chair was fitted with an ejector button. It's an excellent idea. It's one the Treasurer should consider, and perhaps the House as a whole. And I must say, for someone who loves Instagram, as this Speaker does, it would make an excellent Instagram post. But, members, the seriousness of this role is not lost on this Speaker, especially when it comes to the culture of this place. The Jenkins Review was a landmark review in recognising the need for cultural reform in the parliamentary workplace. And under this Speaker's leadership, this Parliament has implemented key reforms. The establishment of the Parliamentary Workplace Support Service, the rollout of improved induction and training for all members and staff, and a clear and consistent focus on safety, respect and accountability. But we must also be clear, the Jenkins Review did not address how members behave in this chamber. That's governed by standing orders and enforced by the Speaker. And how the Speaker applies those standing orders, how they define and act on disrespectful behaviour, sets the culture of this House. And it's my experience that this Speaker has upheld those standards with fairness, with consistency, with impartiality and strength, and a willingness to challenge what have been entrenched behaviours. And finally, I draw the attention of the House to something that many others have said this morning, and that is his commitment to young people and civics education. In fact, I think it's fair to say that this Speaker is something of a cult hero to many young people across Australia. Last year, he travelled to the remote alpine towns of Marysville and Buxton in my electorate of Indi. I think other members have commented about the specialness of the schools in their electorate, but I would say for the Speaker, perhaps these were the coldest locations that he had visited. But he met with students there who'd lived through bushfires and who live in isolation, and he talked with them, not to them, and he talked about their place in democracy. I would say that in the electorate of Indi, and most particularly in Marysville and Buxton, that I'm sorry to say for the Speaker that they were no fan of pineapple on pizza, and they were not to be persuaded that the Speaker was from Queensland. No kowtowing from Indi. And as we've heard today, this Speaker has visited more than 160 schools across our vast nation. And under his leadership, for the very first time in Australia's history, we will have a national youth parliament. And this is no token gesture from this Speaker. This is structural reform. It brings young Australians right into the democratic process, not just to learn, but to lead. To the new members of this House, I say to you, you are in very good hands with this Speaker. This Speaker brings openness, humanity, integrity and real dignity to the Speakership. He has upheld the rules, and I'm so confident he will continue to uphold the rules. He has respected the Parliament, and he has helped restore respect for the Parliament among the people that we serve. I commend him wholeheartedly and congratulate him on his re-election, and I wish him the very, very best from all of us in this chamber, but most especially from the crossbench.
I'll give the call to the Manager of Opposition Business.
Yeah, no, thank you, Speaker. I knew that you would give me the call indeed to give this speech. I had an instinct that you might. Given that we're going to have the most tense relationship of the coming term, I thought it was a chance just to say something very briefly. You know the Leader of the House's opinion of you. I did want to congratulate you and welcome your ascension to the chair as Speaker of this House. You have been an authentic believer and defender of our democratic traditions, especially the Westminster traditions, And in this parliament, given the nature of it, none of us have lived through a parliament for this time where we have such a majority of a government, and I think the rights of minorities are going to be especially important in relation to the operation of this House. The reason you have so much support from the crossbench and the opposition is because you have been an ardent defender of the procedures, conventions and standing orders, and we welcome that in the coming term. Indeed, in the Australian, I noticed that you were lauded for your performance in the previous term, having, I think, simultaneously managed to achieve the feat of removing fewer members than any other Speaker in the last 30 years, and yet simultaneously more government members than any other Speaker in some time. So I just want to point out, with the changed composition of the parliament, haven't run the numbers, that your average of, I think it's about 3.63, one government member every 3 sessions, you'll need to increase that strike rate to one government member every 2.88 if you want to keep your strike rate up. I'd highly just want to put that on your radar up front. We welcome your ascension to Speaker. You do a great job for this parliament. Convention is very important, and indeed the quality of debate and legislation is more important when you have a majority government. So we look forward to working with you to make sure this parliament, every single individual voice is heard, and all parliamentarians have the opportunity to ensure that the Australian people, the 8.5 million that voted for the government, but the 7 million people that did not vote for the government, are heard.
And now, the member for Kennedy.
The member said she was speaking for the young people. I'm speaking for the old people, obviously. I once walked with giants, incredible Australians who proudly and doggedly achieved many great things for our nation. They built roads, dams, created towns and cities, developed our education and healthcare systems. They weren't driven by ego or the ability to make statues of themselves. They were driven by the innate desire to make Australia a great and prosperous nation, and for all Australians to benefit from that prosperity. Milton Dick is one of those people. Like many old families in Queensland, his great-great-grandmother, a widow, arrived in Charters Towers in gold rush times around 1880. Only a year later, my forebears arrived from places still unknown. His great-grandmother's family, the Goffs, built the Excelsior Hotel and the theatre in Charters Towers, which is one of the major centres of towns in those days. And they're still standing, both those buildings, today. At the time, the business people in Charters Towers, remember that Charters Towers was bigger than Brisbane at this stage. His family threw all their weight behind the fledgling Labor movement. Remember, they were rich business people, and they threw their whole weight behind the Labor movement, as did my own family. At the same time, the business people in Charters Towers, his family threw all their weight behind the fledgling Labor. It was a wonderful thing when the business people stood up for miners and those injured and killed in mining accidents. Milton had carried on that tradition. There are many others, and even Milton may disagree. He played a major part, maybe the major part, in the ALP holding on to office in Queensland from Joe's day, Jockey Peterson, until the government fell in 1990. Milton, to fight tenaciously for the workers. Mount Isa workers are living under the looming threat of closure of the copper smelter right at this very moment. Milton has fought this closure once before and won. I pay him a very fine tribute for achieving what very few in this place will ever achieve. He is strong, determined, tenacious, intelligent and fair. With him, he will again walk with giants. I take very great pleasure in supporting Milton and his work into the future.
I thank the member for Kennedy. With the House's indulgence, I want to give some remarks. But I begin firstly with acknowledging that we gather here today in this parliament on the lands of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri peoples, where our parliament is constructed. And I extend that acknowledgement to all First Nations people represented here today in the gallery, and of course those taking their seats in this House. with the indulgence, it is an honour to give thanks to the remarks by the Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition, the Leader of the Nationals, the members for Indi, the member for Kennedy and the Manager of Opposition Business. To be chosen for this role for a second time is a profound honour, but to be elected unopposed is deeply humbling. And I recognise the significance of that gesture. And I'm not only grateful for the trust and goodwill shown from all sides of this chamber, but I want to prove to you that I've earned that trust. This is not a privilege I take lightly, because it is an incredible honour. In my view, the role of Speaker is not one of partisanship, but of stewardship. And it's my solemn responsibility to ensure that democracy is not only practised here, but it's strengthened here. It was a privilege to be dragged to the Speaker's chair, perhaps running to the Speaker's chair, by not only two sides of this chamber, but two very close friends and mentors. To the Chief Government Whip, the member for Lola, I think the reason we get on so well is because of our connection to education. Sitting in the gallery today is my older sister. She's the lesser known of our family, but the most important one, because she's been a teacher for over 35 years and is the real star of the show. She, alongside the member for Lula, believes in the powerful transformation that education has on children's lives. And in some ways, that's in what's a small part as to my commitment to civics education. Sitting next to her is my brother, the Honourable Cameron Dick MP, someone who I'm enormously proud of for his achievements, but most importantly because he's my brother. To the member for Riverina, the one who's always offering free advice, whether I like to hear it or not, the kindness that he and his wonderful wife, Catherine, have shown to me since I became a member of this place is something I'll never forget. He's a great person, a fine parliamentarian, and I'm honoured that he seconded my nomination today. To the members for Indi and the members for Kennedy, thank you for your very gracious remarks, but more importantly, thank you for the opportunity for me to seek your counsel, as I do with so many others. When I took the chair for the first time on the 26th of July 3 years ago, I spoke about how I envisioned the chamber to be a place of ideas and energy, a place where debate flowed, where the very best of ideas were exchanged in a respectful manner. And over the last 3 years, I've been committed to making this place a place of change, a respectful and safe workplace. And I'm proud of the progress we have made, but I realise that there's more to be done. Today, I recommit myself to this. This term, I will continue to look for ways to improve standards in this chamber. As I said, more work needs to be done. I continue to practice the principles instilled into me by my late parents, Alan and Joan. How you treat others is how you should expect to be treated. No role or title, elected or otherwise, exempts us from our obligation to create and foster a culture of safety, integrity and inclusion. Everyone who walks through these doors has the right to feel safe, respected and supported. In the Parliament, I will not tolerate disrespectful behaviour, because the behaviour we show one another in this chamber matters. It matters to me, it matters to those who have chosen you, and it should matter to everyone in Australia. But robust debate is essential. But our words carry weight, and our behaviour sets a tone that extends far beyond these walls. There's no question we live in the best country in the world, with one of the safest democracies on the planet. But increasingly, democracy around the world is under pressure. Last Parliament, I set my eyes upon uplifting civics knowledge and education. And as it's been said, I was proud to visit over 160 schools across every corner of Australia as part of the civics program. But today, I'm inviting all members to join me in a new push to improve civics education across all our communities. And today I announce a new civics agenda. I proudly today commit to visiting every single electorate in this country. In this Parliament, I want to continue to champion and strengthen our engagement with young Australians through initiatives like the Schools in Parliament program, the Parliament House National Roadshow and, of course, the National Youth Parliament. Because I want to ensure that Parliament is understood, accessible and representative of every Australian, not just in the cities, but across the country in regional and remote parts of our continent. And I want to ensure that young Australians, no matter where they live, can learn about our democracy, see how it works and understand how they can take part in shaping its future. This isn't symbolic because this parliament belongs to all of us. I'd like to finish briefly with some final thanks. To the Prime Minister, I've been deeply impressed by your commitment to respect and governing with humility. Prime Minister, you often talk about your late mum and how proud she would be of you taking high office. I can relate to that. I thank you for your trust and respect that you've shown me more than anyone in this place. And I see your commitment for traditions and the deep respect that you show in our parliamentary system, all the while never forgetting your roots and where you've come from. And I thank the Leader of the Opposition for her gracious remarks. And I want to share with the House a few personal reflections about her. I've seen her care and respect for the people she represents firsthand. Spending a week in her beautiful electorate of Farrer was an experience I won't forget. I deeply valued seeing that part of Australia, but more importantly, I valued spending time with you, getting to know you as a person, and your grit and determination was on show during that week and every other week that I've seen you in this parliament. And I'm really looking forward to working with you in this parliament. To my old friend, the Leader of the Nats, both elected in the class of 2016, I value your company, your insights into regional Australia, and of course the ribbing you like to give me from time to time. To the member for Watson, my friend of 30 years, thank you for your continued wisdom, support and leadership in this place. And to the member for Mitchell, while you've been a presence in this chamber for many years, I look forward to working with you in your new role, and I know you will do an excellent job. Just not too well, I hope. To former Speaker Tony Smith, who is with me today, but with me most weeks, who takes my calls and answers all the questions that I have that no other Speaker has had a relationship like this one has had with you. I thank you for your wise advice and all of your excellent rulings that I rely on from time to time. To Clarissa Surtees and Peter Banson, the clerk and deputy clerks of this House, I once again look forward to working alongside you for another term. Your continued support, advice and professionalism for the teams you lead adds to our democracy, and I'm truly grateful for your support. And lastly, to all members, thank you again for this great honour. I promise to respect and commit to serve this House with impartiality, diligence and a deep sense of responsibility. Now, let's get to work. I thank the House. I give a call to the Prime Minister.
I have ascertained that it will be Her Excellency the Governor-General's pleasure to receive you, Mr Speaker, in the Members' Hall immediately after the resumption of the sitting at 2:40 p.m.
Prior to my presentation to Her Excellency this afternoon, the bells will ring for 5 minutes so that honourable members may attend in the chamber and accompany me to the Members' Hall. The sitting is suspended until 2:40 p.m.